In this age of our fast changing world, people, especially the youth, tend to make spur of the moment decisions based on heightened emotions, peer pressure, and distorted beliefs. Oftentimes, the people who make these kinds of decisions later on regret on what they have done because of a number of detrimental effects on themselves and on other people. Hi, I'm Kyle C. This is a podcast about a process of moral decision making. So, let's start. Determine the matter. What is the main problem that makes you plan to make a decision? Analyze sources. What makes him want to address the matter? What is his enemy in making the final decision? Consult a friend. What do they think of the situation? How can they help you come up with the final decision? Think not only of yourself. How does this affect others? What does God think of this? Acquire alternatives. How else can you address the situation you are in? Specify consequences. What would happen to you in your decision? Come up with a decision. What is your final call towards the situation? To answer the questions I've asked a while ago, here's a situation. Teens nowadays are surrounding themselves with entertainment they can get from music, photos, videos, and internet sources. However, there are certain kinds of entertainment that teens should avoid. This is where pornography comes in. Pornography is something that leads to committing sin. To click or not to click. How do we decide? Which will bring us to a good moral decision? Here's an article by Sean Groves named Addicted to Porn, which explains about his experience in terms of pornography. At first, he was clueless on what he saw. When he grew older, he started progressing from topless women to sex videos and hardcore videos. He did not only download pornography, but he also stole porn from convenience stores. Doing these acts make him feel more superior and a real man. However, he wasn't true. He knew he was a Christian. Reminding him of that, he became more depressed and frustrated. He promised himself that he would not mess up again, only to end up repeating his mistakes. This is a really hard situation, and I'm sure a lot of teen listeners can relate to this because a lot of us now are undergoing puberty and we are prone to do things we shouldn't do. So let's start. Determine the matter. What is the main problem that makes you plan to make a decision? The matter is that he is aware that what he is doing is wrong, yet can't seem to do anything about it. He tries to stop doing the act, however, he's usually used to doing it. It becomes habitual, meaning it's hard to avoid the vice. Analyze sources. What makes him want to address the matter, and what's his enemy in making the final decision? He has a sense of conscience and a sense of morality, since he is aware that it is wrong. However, it is his subconscious choice to not refrain from doing the act. Consult a friend. What do they think of the situation, and how can they help you come up with a final decision? Gather people who can probably relate to the situation, in the case, teens. Interrogate teens who also go through the same thing and how they cope up with it. He was able to ask his friend who can relate to the situation, and yes, he was able to gather ideas and insights from him and other people so that he'll be able to make his final decision. Think not only of yourself. How does this affect others, and what does God think of this? Porn does not affect only ourselves, it affects other people too. Look at Sean Grove's situation. He does not only watch porn, but he also stole porn from stores. It also shows disrespect to those who choose to be porn stars, especially the women. It also changes his habits that becomes vices. Not only he's disrespecting his own sexuality, but he's also disrespecting the people he is watching doing the sexual act. He's putting malice and destroying how women should be perceived. Acquire alternatives. How else can you address the situation you are in? People usually look at porn to give themselves pleasure. However, these temptations and these urges can be avoided and strayed away from if there was only effort from the individual. Maybe one can preoccupy themselves with work or with requirements, and even surround themselves with company and leisure to get their minds off the urge or the thought of watching porn. Specify consequences. Watching porn makes him change how he perceives women, whether he likes it or not. He tends to look down upon these women as something that is only used for sexual purposes. Aside from this, he also disrespects them and most especially disrespects his own personal sexuality. Come up with a decision. Pornography tends to become a misconception to people. A normal teenager would say that it's alright because everyone does it, and it's a normal phase of life. However, it is still wrong because it disrespects our sexuality and that of the ones we are watching. Here are some questions to evaluate. These essential questions will be able to help us analyze and understand the real meaning of this podcast. Here's Jonathan will be answering the questions given to us.
We know how to make good decisions through our conscience and teachings. Through our past experience and teachings, we will know if it is a good decision or not. We can know what is right from wrong by using our conscience and in our feelings. For me, you should not just rely on our conscience, you should also follow your morals, teachings, and past experience. Using your conscience only would not be efficient. One can know better action if the person will use his conscience, morals, and teachings altogether. It takes experiences and a good conscience to be wise in our decisions. We need to have a good morality in order to make wiser decisions. Actually, everything is based on our experiences because experiences shape our lives. We should choose which is the right thing to do because God did not make us to do wrong decisions. Even though there is a really complicated situation, we have not only think about ourselves but the people involved in it too. We should we again should use our guts, conscience, and experiences in choosing what is right.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Hopefully, you'll be able to learn lots of things such as moral decision making and the possible things that can come out from it. And also, our morality and conscience can be a guide for us to be able to make this decision. Thanks for watching.